Yeah, it's really cool. I mean,
It's not
one thing I
boring.
wouldn't do is kind of the crazy glasses, but that's just
Hmm.
me.
That's my whole
So
thing. I love
speaking
that.
of these details, let's talk about something that someone brought up, and especially with the whole Fam Taylor stuff, we're going to talk about the belted back jacket. And now, you know, that is something that is super great. We haven't done I don't know if we've done like an episode on details in menswear, I've also done an article on um, menswear details you don't find as much anymore because these are a lot older stuff. But the belted back jacket is something that's super cool to me because that was the first time like I saw a detail that was like it wowed me the first time I saw
Mm.
it. Because for those of you who don't know, a belted back jacket has basically before you had like aggressive like I mean you had like aggressive darting before, but like it was a way to make a jacket like a sporting jacket. It was mainly done on like casual stuff. Of course, there's a lot of suits that have them. That's kind of beside the point. But back then you had like business suits, like plain whatever, and then you had like sporting suits which were done like a little bit more fun pattern, sport coats, whatever. And they had like a belt back which basically gathered the excess fabric on the back, made pleats, and then you slapped on a half belt on the back. You know, we're not talking about like fully belted like safari jackets. We're
A
talking about like a half
Norfolk.
The
belt.
Norfolks, yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about like a belt back jacket, which
Mm.
if I just pull up a belt back,
I mean,
let's look up a
yeah, we
yeah.
sometimes there, if you want to be specific, you can call it a half belt, but
Yeah.
Yep.
generally when you say belted back jacket, that's only referring to that half that's belted. So,
Yeah,
Right.
I know it was one way for like different makers to kind of, oh shit, that one didn't work. Uh,
Cool.
oh,
It's a
so
Well,
blob of
I'm
words.
apparently
trying to.
so.
There we go. Um, but like it was like one way for people to kind of like show some novelty because back then like you didn't have like fucking like super wide leg suits because everyone had a wide leg suit, right? You didn't have like super skinny stuff, so like a belt back
well,
is super interesting.
yeah, it was just because it's like there were kind of less options in terms of like the types of things that you can wear, so there was more variety in suits.
Yeah,
That
There was
makes
there
the
was there was a way of
403
being
forbidden.
interest. Yeah, it was a way of
Yeah.
being interesting in a suit in a world where everyone was the standard was everyone wore suits.
Yeah, exactly. Because people talk about it's like, oh, people used to be so dressed up, and it's like by today's standards, yes, but it's like they just had different ideas of what was casual and what was formal.
yeah, exactly. And so that was this is like one reason that's cool, and this is it's for me specifically or at least for for this stream, it's one of those things that really hasn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like wide lapels have come back, and like again we talked about the whole high gorge thing. Like that's how they've come back. Talk about like patch pockets, like that's kind of like a tailored detail that's always been kind of around. You've got like pleats, side tab adjusters, but the belt back is something that doesn't really come in because
We haven't really
it's
seen it since the 70s, right?
exactly, and
Mm.
I mean, you see it not on tailoring now. You see that sometimes in like denim jackets where instead of like the half belt, you have more of like a side adjuster,
Yeah,
like a button or like
side
a
tab,
cinch back.
basically.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You see that you see similar backs on leather jackets. Very, that's probably what you see.
What's the
You
belt
see
back called
you
with the
see
half
forms
belt
of
with the
this.
buttons on it?
I don't know.
It's got like a half bit of a cinch, right?
Yeah,
I
something
don't
like
know, but
that.
it has like buttons,
But
and you
you
see that in like outerwear,
That's
like
what I
in
was saying. Yeah, the other way you
non-tailored.
probably see
Wait.
this is like an
Uh,
outerwear jacket.
yeah, but on
Um,
outerwear they're called martingale backs, right?
That's what I was asking. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You see that?
yeah, Matt is a bit quiet. That's
Oh,
also
is he?
because
That's a
Matt is
bit
Yeah.
of a
using
bit.
Oh, great.
AirPods as well.
Thank you.
He's not as he's not as tapped in to the
Oh,
audio as the
AirPod.
rest of us.
Are these
Yeah.
the ones you got
No,
with your
these
new
are the ones I
computer?
found when going through my jackets, and I was like,
Ethan,
"Fuck!" But
to build off your point though, what you
Yes,
were
yes,
saying
sir.
about why belt backs haven't come back, I think the inherent problem is that belt backs and all those fancy details you see in the 30s were inherently a way of making the suit jacket more casual in a world where everyone was wearing suits to make that more casual, and it doesn't seem like there'll be anytime soon suits will be accepted as casual wear. They will always
Yeah,
be seen as
of course. Yeah,
increasingly formal. So
I
how
think
yeah,
so
we've
in that
moved on.
so in that
Mhm.
context, the belt back doesn't make any sense. Pleats on,
Right, and
yeah,
there's also a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of like vintage people who are a lot. Okay, so belt backs in vintage are really prized to find because again, they were
Sorry, what
casual.
to find?
What?
Never
They're
mind.
belt
continue.
backs.
Yeah, but you said anyway.
The-
Let's go.
Sure. They were really hard. They're hard. Is that what you tell me to say? You want me to say they're hard?
Yeah.
said there were-
How
you
hard
said-
are they?
Just go. just keep going.
I like a
No,
hard belt.
they're hard to find because they're rare, right? They're cool detail. Of course, vintage in general, right? If it's not in good condition, no one's gonna want to buy it, right? And belt backs they just again have these cool details you just don't see even in vintage, right? Because most of the stuff I only have like one. I mean, compared to some people, I have a lot, but I've only owned like 2 or 3 compared to like the regular backed 30s and 40s jackets that I already owned.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, certain back jackets are more interesting than others. Like you have like the middle reverse box pleat, which opens up like a private part when you move your arms, and there's also like the bi-swing back, which has got the pleats on the kind of like on the back of the shoulder,
the shoulder
the arms,
seams,
Yeah.
the shoulder
Right.
seams and everything. You got that, and so there's really cool, and because they're rare, they're very expensive, which to me, if I can't afford to find a vintage, it'd be cool to find them in bespoke or. But to go back to what I was saying, because they're sporty, some people don't like it because it takes away from the fact that a well-fitting suit should have a smooth back, right? That is like the ideal back for like a lot of people who are into bespoke, right?
That's quote unquote business tailoring, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that because of the way business clothing has gone, that is what the gold standard is for people. Like, okay, it should be clean, right? No wrinkles, nothing, no pulling anywhere. Like that's what Permanent Style does on his blog. Like he always evaluates the back and how smooth it is if there's pulling over the thing. And even though these ones, with pleating here, I think that's why it's more forgiving in terms of fit, right? Even if it doesn't fit you right, it'll still have a figure because of all this pleating in the back, right? Which is cool to me because as a guy who prefers, maybe not prefer, but like as a guy who likes, ready to wear for the fact that you can just throw it on without having to go through fitting and, oh no, I got it made up and now I spent $2,000 on a jacket that's too short, this is a good way to, to get the kind of waist suppression and everything.
Yeah, wrinkles that occur due to bad fit are hard to notice when you have built-in wrinkles into your jacket.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly it. All this, and so it's one of those things that's super cool, and I kind of wish comes back. And some makers have done it. Unfortunately, as Matt pointed out, they came back.
Speaking of contemporary guys who've done it though, my most recent MTM from Spin McKay was a belt back actually. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
I
Yeah.
do. I vividly remember your jacket. All this, like it had like bi-swings, I think, and it was
Yeah,
like brown
bi-swing
tweed.
and
Yeah.
bi-swing and halfback, green tweed actually, but with like a window pane, like a brand window pane. And yeah, I love that jacket. The problem is I dropped it off to be tailored right before the quarantine hit, so I haven't been able to go back to it.
Oh,
That's a shame.
R.I.P. man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that jacket's gone.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like, I think Ascot Chang technically has it, and, like, I'm sure old stuff has have it. But the thing is, the 70s kind of ruined it because they made the belt thicker, which to me kind of makes everything look kind of weird.
But on the other hand, some guys these days make belts backs with really thin belts, and that's also terrible as well. I'd rather have a thicker belt than a thinner belt, to be perfect.
It's a good healthy middle, because I think
I mean,
it
what,
has to be like, I think it's like 1 inch and 3/4 or 2 inches is like the ideal, because that's what
Yeah.
like the 30s one is. If it gets any thicker than that or thinner than that, it looks pretty weird. But again, belt backs, they're really, I mean, they're awesome. The one I have right now, that again, Tree Fam.
give me
Let me
one
see if I can
second.
link that in our. Yep, I have the image right here. I'm gonna open the image in a new tab to get that link here. Oh
That
shit!
sweet link.
Is it too big? No, it's not. Oh, you guys can see it here. It is. Oh wait,
I thought
you don't see the back in that picture. Whoops.
Just imagine what that back looks like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, just
belted.
imagine
So
it.
just imagine.
Yeah, I hate belt.
Yeah,
I hate belt backs that are purely aesthetic. Yeah. I mean, they are supposed to have like waist suppression into it. And again, this can go back to the fact that some people don't like belt backs with vents. Because again, the whole point is having waist suppression. Having a vent eases tension, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of having a vent. But I literally own a jacket that probably would fit Matt, but I'm not selling it because it's fucking cool. It is a jockey. It's like a size 34 or like a 35 jacket that has got this. It's in pretty bad condition. There are lots of moth holes, but it's a check jacket with triple patch pockets, 2 button, and it's got an awesome belt back in the back.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
it has a center vent because it's probably made. It's a true sport coat. It's probably made for like golfing or just kind of hanging out with the boys.
Just hanging out with the
And-
boys.
and-
Do you think
and
jacket vents though are particularly important though for movements? They're good for,
It
for stress and all that, but in terms of
Hey,
movement.
On
I will
30s
tell you
jackets,
that-
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean on 30s jackets, which 30s jackets tended to be shorter,
for
but they
but for movement though, because even in the 30s, I think the standard might have been no vent at
Here
all.
is why I think about as much as I like period stuff and everything. A lot of people, a lot of vintage guys who are friends of the blog or on the Facebook group always come after me for this one. But I always like double vents a lot, and the reason why is because vents allow you to pocket fist
Yep.
comfortably.
Yeah.
Because if it's
That's the reason for me as well. But
No,
in terms
yeah.
of actual movement though,
Oh yeah, no, I mean it doesn't really, it's whatever. But when you put your hands into like again, because actually, a guy actually did say, let me find, let me oh, my screen is frozen again.
your screen is
Mm.
frozen. Okay, let me.
All right, just restarted my thing again. I forgot who asked this. Some guy, I'm gonna find out who it is. But a guy did say, hey, can you talk about the fact about vented jackets versus unvented jackets? This comes from but this has a J in it, like THIJS, Klein Paste.
right.
Maybe that's his actual name.
Classic.
Are we
But
But anyway,
trying to
he did
tackle the
say,
belt
can you
back, or
talk
are we
about
moving
ventless
on?
jackets? We're not really moving on, but it's weird because on my end, my Hangouts, I'm still moving in my thing. But
That's just like a feed of your camera. That's not like what's broadcasting.
oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, if we're moving on, I'll say a piece about it, but for now, that's fine.
No, we'll move on in a second. But yeah, in terms of belt backs, because again, vents are integral or not integral to belt backs because again, you want that slim fit, and there's a lot of jackets that are ventless that have it. But I have also seen it because of the one that I own, I have a belt back jacket with vents. So it's one of those things that's that I
Because
definitely
your natty
enjoy
one
more.
is a center vent, right? Or is that side?
Let's take a look. Let's see it.
Personally, I think
Inside
double vents on a belt back jacket look a bit weird. If I
I-
had to have a
it's-
vent, I'd have a single vent.
I would have a sing. I mean, it's like it's hard to do with belt back jackets.
And
I
on
guess
the spare one I got, I didn't get it with any vents.
I mean, maybe you could do it like the 70s way and just have the longer vent that extends to the belt.
Yeah, not a fan of that either.
Alternatively,
I
there's
think-
the true vintage way of just having a very short vent.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah, low clip. I
Yeah.
feel like I've come a long way in my belt back opinions, where it's like I started with the idea like, oh my god, I love this because for tailoring, just like this detail you don't see, and I see it a lot. David Thewlis's suit in Prisoner of Azkaban had the belt back,
Yep.
and that's still
Yes, sir.
one of my definitive ones. Flap pockets, and then
Flapjacks.
I love
flapjacks.
flapjacks.
And then it just I think he has a little center vent and barely any pleats, just enough at the sides, but just
Yep.
it was very minimal. Great, some upper back detailing. But this kind of leads into what I'm going to say. I think I've stepped away from my interest in belt packs because sort of we touched on it before. It's a very hard thing to get right. I do think that it probably needs to be on the thinner end rather than thicker.
Yes,
It's just
sir.
a very hard proportion to get right, and I feel like it can be bad if it's too much. But also, if you just start stacking on these details, where it's like you have a belt back, you have this enormous buy swing, not a little one, and then you have these pleated pockets. Like we talked about this before. At what point does someone say, "Oh, he's just wearing a suit"? So what is he wearing? Just these details that make you look alien almost, where it's trying to be a bit more fluid, So
I don't
think
I don't think that a lot of belts stuff on the back is gonna make people is gonna blow people's minds But maybe that's
I mean,
just
it's
me.
like one
Well, there
thing
are
that leads
some
to another. You
Golden
get the belt
designs,
back,
though.
and then you have like 5 million pleats. Like I've seen some of the crazy ones.
Yeah, like the
blog
one
about
Ethan posted in the details post, where it's got like 6 vertical pleats in the back instead of like
Yeah,
a 6.
and it just can be a lot. And I think I kind of am like I like simple kind of like
I mean,
like what Drake's has
the ones
done.
that I like tend to be kind of more on the simpler side. Like I like ones from the early to mid 30s that just have like a big pleat down the center. They have like microplating or whatever on the belt, but I don't like the what is the shark gill back. I'm not a huge fan of shark
Yeah,
gill
yeah,
backs.
no fan of shark gills here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah.
you, Spencer.
See, the one I linked, the linen belt back that I have, I think is like the perfect one because it's got the bi-swing, which is practical, and it's also got like the smaller pleats, that are kind of coming out from the side around there, which is one of my favorite things. But I mean, like Matt, I've also softened up on it because again, I'm way more concerned about soft shoulders, proper jacket length, size of patch pockets, and of course, as we all like to know, the gorge height and obtuseness and soft and dulled edges of a lapel notch. That is
Ethan,
to me is the
Ethan, do you
biggest
still
thing.
like bellowed patch pockets on sport
Oh,
shirts?
I would fucking love if I had that. I mean that suit and it happened one
It
night.
happened one night.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is still like that on a flannel suit is still fucking balls to the wall awesome. Like that is so cool. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna go in
again,
direct contradiction to you, Ethan. Say I really don't like that. I really
hey,
don't like
hey,
bellowed.
I get it, but it's still cool. Like it's one of those things where like I could just imagine me pocket fisting that thing and like just being fucking like
Well,
great
because
at
it's
it.
like
Or you
it's.
fist and you wouldn't even know. That's
Yeah.
I mean, because
that's how it works.
it's that jacket specifically. It's like we're both into like slouchy things, and it's like that's such a slouchy jacket,
Yeah.
And it's like it makes sense in the context of the movie where
It's
he's
too much
fucking
slouch, though.
where he's just taking Greyhound buses or fucking hitchhiking across America, whatever.
Yeah,
It's the perfect jacket for those for those two things.
Yeah.
Those two things only.
I had to have stretchy pockets though. I'd take
And
like
fucking-
an inverted box pleat.
Yeah.
I prefer that. Bellows is just too much. It's like especially if you see bellows and the inverted pleats. Like what the fuck are you keeping in your pockets? Like a small, like a small like a bowling
Yeah,
ball.
it's one of those
I
things
think-
where I wouldn't do pleated pockets.
Because
but I like
then
the
it's gonna
regular
start
belt.
looking like a hunting jacket, which is
Yeah, and
and-
it's just like I think I am like going back to like the simpler like I found like at least where I am at now, I'm sort of back in the Ivy sack jack like camp as opposed to
Back
like
in the sack.
Neapolitan.
well,
Back in the
yeah.
sack, as
Back
opposed to
in the
Neapolitan details. You got your darks, wide lapels, and I think and the center vent I prefer.
Well,
So
because
I'm
if you
kind of
like
in that
if you like
environment.
sack jackets, it makes sense that you wouldn't be a huge fan of belt backs,
Yeah,
just because they
yeah,
offer
because
so
those
much
are-
weight
yeah.
waist suppression. It's
Yeah.
like a
Like,
very.
inherent.
Sax is the antithesis of a
Oh,
belt back
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I keep
Because
hitting
they're
R
up on the
because I
fact
think
that,
it's
like, everything
fucking
is all smooth
reload.
and everything is all like fucking, just like it's supposed to be like a sack. You throw it on minimal, 3-year-old to
I
whatever.
think I just always had this
That's about it.
assumption that I could never wear something like that because, like, on me it would look so big and ridiculous. But then I found one that's fully canvas, and it's like, oh, when it actually fits you really well.
Well, I mean, it's like,
just fine.
yeah, I mean, we have a lot of friends in the vintage scene who are like little guys, like very, like they're very skinny, and they still wear vintage belt back jackets, which are probably easier for them to find because they can either do what Ethan did and get a youth suit,
Right.
or they just find a smaller like adult size that no one else could fit into.
There's a niche for it, isn't there? Like in the vintage, like these tiny.
I'm putting a
things,
new thing into chat that's fucking ridiculous.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
Here we go. What the fuck is that?
That's like a Cyclops.
It's a
Look
non.
at that
It's
button stamp.
not only is it a paddock suit, but it is a non-belted action back suit.
Which got a vagina on his back.
That guy's got no action. Yeah, that's like, oh my god.
But that's I like belt backs a lot. I mean, again, I don't really care if I find it, but here is if we want to plug our friend John Robinson, the real way to make it work is if you have a chore jacket style
what am I
blazer,
supposed to do?
and then you add that in. You add that in there.
Yeah, that would be good.
What's wrong,
A
Spencer?
tour jacket.
I have no ammo. Here we go. And I had to kill this thing.
We talked briefly about
As I said before, I keep forgetting that you can't reload in this game. So I hit R out of instinct, but that's one of your like weapons that you're supposed to use when you're out of ammo. So I didn't have access to it.
Fuck.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Well,
That's all. That's all the game talk I have for now.
We're very good at Twitch.
Can we talk briefly about full belts, though, guys? Any love or any interest in those?
I would love a Norfolk, especially after seeing the Grand Budapest Hotel Jude Law's outfit. Like that, like a right Norfolk, you know. I just feel like you have to get it correct, but it'd be fun.
It would have to be like a very 1930s Norfolk, like basically like a 3-button sport coat that has patch pockets and happens to have a belt. I think that's how I would do it. I don't like.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. A Thursday's jacket with a full belt.
They exist. Maybe not American suits, but European suits. You saw those a lot.
Okay, well, Europeans weird.
Yeah, I've definitely seen like more on like yeah, they had like the pleats, but they looked more like a sport coat than like straight up like hunting jacket. I've seen some of those, and to me, I would wear that more than like one that's got like, you know, the whole crazy yoke business and everything. I'm not a big fan of that because it's a little too
You're not a jazz suit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like, you know, it's got to be slouchy, and I feel like I mean, Norfolk jackets are sportswear, you know, hunting wear, you know, but they lean too far on the whole like, oh, I want to be the urban hunter guy kind of thing, you know, like the whole like, you know, when guys wear that kind of shit. I think that's definitely, you know, like okay, I'll send the picture right now where I wouldn't mind this one. This is a good one. Fuck, I closed Twitch because it was slowing down everything.
I think good inspo for Norfolk jackets is F. Scott Fitzgerald. There are plenty of pictures of him in the 20s with.
He had
he's got the Norfolk, but he wears it open with the belt done up, and it's kind of a look that I kind of dig. It's got a robe feel to it.
I would be very hesitant to try like a modern Norfolk jacket because then I don't know. I mean I still like the style. I don't own one, but I think you'll just end up looking like, you know, like it's gonna look like just a hunting suit, and I don't really like modern hunting suits.
Yeah, I think that you know,
like you
belt
just
packs are something that like is kind of like a hard thing to do because again, people are gonna say it looks really casual. I like it when it's done with a suit and with like a shirt and tie, but like not like the traditional like not like I don't want it to be like super green and checked, you know. It's got to be kind of like understated.
Because you know, especially like I don't know, if you're not like a member of the like English aristocracy, there's like no real reason for you to own a hunting suit.
And again, when you get crazy,
and it's like why would you want to look like a member of the English aristocracy? They're a bunch of like fucking like inbred pedophiles. Like that's
there's never been a better time.
Speaking of useless hunting suits, though, do you guys remember Simon Crompton? I think he commissioned like a bespoke hunting suit at one point. Like
did he?
Yeah, one of those wild.
I'm looking at that.
Yeah, find it and post it because that was ridiculous. That was like it had like a purple check to it. It was